Hello everyone and welcome to our live coverage of USSF-36 mission launching from the East Coast, that is from Pad Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Dipto Mitra, performing the commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
Hope you all are doing fine and excited for this much anticipated US Space Force's secretive X-37B spaceplane mission launch for its 8th time. Today we are super excited bringing you the coverage of SpaceX's 529th overall launch and the 101st Falcon 9 launch of this year. Today's mission marks the 66th launch from the Space Coast for SpaceX as they continue building their incredible launch cadence for this year. The USSF-36 mission, also known as the OTV-8 mission, is for United States Space Force launching its reusable robotic spacecraft, the X-37B spaceplane, which is an uncrewed spacecraft developed by Boeing. The OTV stands for Orbital Test Vehicle, and as this is the 8th flight of this X-37B, so this mission is referred as OTV-8. The X-37 is operated by Department of Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office in collaboration with United States Space Force for orbital spaceflight missions intended to demonstrate reusable space technologies. The X-37B spacecraft is generally boosted into space, typically low Earth orbit to high elliptical orbit by a launch vehicle. On orbit, it performs various classified science experiments and technology demonstrations meant for space. Upon completing those experiments and demonstrations, it re-enters Earth's atmosphere and lands just like a typical space plane, all being an uncrewed spacecraft with no crew on board. We will get into the details shortly, but before we dive in to the mission details and ignite our engines on today's mission stats, firstly, on behalf of AstroYonder team, we express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone for joining us on this launch ride. We are truly fueled up by your presence and support that inspires us to work more hard and to meet your expectations. A big thanks to our amazing YouTube community for the encouragement that keeps our mission flying as we provide you deep dive launch coverages loaded with extensive stats and thorough insights. Truly grateful to have you as we count down to the liftoff together. Would really appreciate if you guys could join the chat and let us know where you are joining from. Also, please feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or opinion with us that will help us to improve our stream, to know more about you and your perspective. So please don't be shy, just bring them on. We would love to hear from you guys. Now, just a heads up, is me only managing the launch coverages on my own. So if we face any technical hiccups or issues by chance, please bear with me and be tuned in. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. You won't miss out anything, and I will do my best to guide you through the upcoming Falcon 9 rocket launch happening in approximately 51 minutes from now. SpaceX will be beginning their webcast 20 minutes prior to the liftoff, and we started a bit earlier than them so that we can share all the insights and the stats regarding today's mission launch. Now, just a kind request to all of you joining us. I know it's early in the stream to request you, but if you feel to support us, please consider providing this stream a like. It really helps others to find this stream out and join us as we move ahead with the stream. Now, before getting into the mission details, just a quick update for the upcoming Starship 10th flight test. The Super Heavy Booster 16 moved to the launch pad at Starbase earlier today on August 21st. As of now, SpaceX is targeting the next Starship launch as soon as Sunday, August 24th, and the launch window extends for 1 hour, which opens at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daytime. Well, that's a Sunday. I guess if they won't be pushing it back, we all will be enjoying that launch. Now, we are currently standing by for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:50 hours UTC from NASA's Kennedy Space Center for USSF-36 mission, following a northeast trajectory more or less right over the Hurricane Irene. Now let's get into the mission details. According to the 45th Weather Squadron officials, today it's a less than average but some sort of promising weather conditions for the launch. Report published by the 45th Weather Squadron officials indicates that there's a 65% chances of favorable weather conditions at the opening of the launch window, with 35% launch weather constraint violations related to cumulus cloud and annual cloud rules. Weather conditions are expected to improve, getting 80% favorable as the window progresses, with launch weather constraint violations reducing to 35% to 20%. Otherwise, it's a 65% to 80% go for today's launch. Well, it is all according to the 45th Weather Squadron launch weather forecast reports, but other than them, I checked other sources as well. But currently they are saying it's a 95% go for today's launch. I guess the weather got improved back there. Now hopefully that is the case. The forecast calls for a temperature of 28 degrees Celsius, broken clouds with 55% cloud cover, with chances of isolated shower and a wind speed of 1 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at today's payload details. For USSF-36 mission. As of now, it has completed 7 successful missions, logging over 1.3 billion miles and spending more than 4,000 days in space, testing new technologies and capabilities. We are looking at a pretty special flight here. It's the third time SpaceX is launching the X-37B space plane. SpaceX previously launched the OTV-5 and OTV-7 missions, and the OTV-7 mission was also known as USSF-52 mission. Today, it marks the 8th overall mission for the Orbital Test Vehicle program, also called as the OTV-8 mission. Now, this is not just any spacecraft, it's built by Boeing, more specifically by its Phantom Works division, with construction and assembly taking place back in California. And over the years, this vehicle has been proving itself as highly capable reusable spaceplane. On board for this mission are some really intriguing experiments. Among them, although this is a kind of a classified launch, so we don't know all the payloads or the experiments on board, but among them, two are much hyped. Firstly, a laser communication demonstration, which is all about testing secure and faster data transmission in orbit. And there's also a quantum inertial sensor that will be pushing the boundaries of precision navigation technology, all using uh, quantum. Another milestone here, this mission continues to make use of the service module, which was first introduced back on OTV-6 mission. And that service module allows the X-37B to carry even more experimental payloads and gives it added flexibility in space. The turnaround time for this one has been impressively fast. We are just talking about 5 months after the previous OTV-7 landed back in March this year, and now OTV-8 is ready to fly, showcasing how quickly the program can prepare and redeploy this vehicle. Although, let me correct it. Today, the vehicle is the second OTV, the second X-37B spacecraft. Currently, there are two operational X-37B spacecraft for USSF. Now, today's flight will be the second of those two operational X-37B spacecraft. As for the orbit, we are looking at a semi-major axis of about 6,875 kilometers, settling into a nearly circular orbit at 500 by 500 kilometers, inclined at roughly 45 degrees. And also, let's not forget the team behind this. Partners on this mission include the United States Space Force, the Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office, the Air Force Research Laboratory, and the Defense Innovation Unit, all working together to push the envelope on spaceplane operations and experimental technologies. Now, while we wait for the liftoff, let's just take a moment to talk about the specs for X-37B spaceplane itself. It is a small but incredibly capable robotic spaceplane. It is completely uncrewed, having no crew on board, but it can still carry a payload of about 227 to 250 kilograms, which is pretty decent for something this compact. In terms of size, it's not a huge spacecraft. It stretches about 29 feet long with a wingspan just under 15 feet, and it stands a little under 10 feet tall. So you can think of it as roughly the size of a small bus. At maximum weight, it comes in at around 11,000 pounds, about 5 metric tons. For power, the observations explains that the X-37B relies on gallium arsenide solar cell backed up by lithium ion batteries and tucked inside a modest payload bay about 7 by 4 feet, which makes it perfect for carrying experimental hardware and small satellites. Now, when it comes to the performance part, it's seriously impressive. With previous flights, we saw it zips around Earth about 17,400 miles per hour, or you can say 28 or you can say over 28,000 kilometers per hour, which is close to the speed of International Space Station. That's the orbital velocity of the spacecraft, and it can operate anywhere from low Earth orbit up into high Earth orbits, depending on the mission. Just on the previous OTV-7 mission, that was there up in the high Earth orbit. And here is the kicker: the original design was meant for about 270 days on orbit, which is less than a year, but in reality, it has smashed that limit with its record setting mission staying aloft for 908 days. That's nearly 2.5 years circling Earth without a crew on board. Now we are 20 minutes away from the webcast to begin. Let me just quickly check if the lift off time is on time or not. As of now, it's on time, so no worries. Now I know, guys, that this will be a little hard to read, but you can zoom in a bit to have a good view. Now, while you guys take a look into this chart, let me break down some of the milestones this X-37B spacecraft previously achieved. As I was mentioning previously, there are two operational X-37B spacecraft. Together, they have completed 7 orbital missions prior to this launch and have spent combined over 4,208 days. To be specific, it's 4,208.66 days, which is equivalent to 11.53 years in space. Prior to today's launch, Atlas V with 501 rocket configuration launched the OTV-1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 missions. That is a total of 5 times. The Atlas V rocket launched the X-37B spacecraft. SpaceX, meanwhile, launched the OTV-5 mission, and which was launched by Falcon 9 Block 4 rocket. Again, SpaceX Falcon 9 Heavy launched the recent previous OTV mission, that is the OTV-7 on USSF-52 mission. And today Falcon 9 Block 5 will launch the OTV-8 on USSF-36 mission. So that's 3 times for SpaceX, 1 on Falcon Heavy and 2 times on Falcon 9 with today's launch. For landings of X-37B spaceplane, it landed 4 times at Vandenberg Air Force Base, runway 12 with the OTV-1, 2, 3, and 7, and 3 times at Kennedy Space Center Shuttle Landing Facility, runway 15 with OTV-4 for 1 time, and 2 times on runway 33 at the same Kennedy Space Center Shuttle Landing Facility, runway 33 with OTV-5 and 6 mission. Now, once again, just to sum up, here we are today with today's USSF-36 mission launch, marking the 4th flight of the first X-37B spacecraft, launching from pad Launch Complex 39A for its 3rd time from this pad. Also, this mission is the 8th launch of the X-37B spaceplane, and it is the first mission to be launched within 6 months of the previous one. Today's launch marks the 3rd Falcon launch of this spacecraft, 2nd on Falcon 9 and 1st on SpaceX's Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket. If we will get some time in the webcast, I will be getting into more details of all the previous OTV flights and what milestone they achieved. Now we are just a a little over 15 minutes away from the webcast to begin. Let me once again check if the uh, liftoff time is okay. Fine, it's still the same. SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 for USSF-36 mission from NASA's Kennedy Space Center at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, 21st of August 2025, 3:50 hours UTC on Friday, 22nd of August 2025. If you feel like we are adding value to your viewing experience, please consider giving this stream a like. It's kind of a fuel for YouTube's algorithm rocket, bringing in more space lovers, helping rocket fans discover this stream out, and growing our community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. Also consider about smashing the subscribe button and turning on the bell notification, as we are burning the all-night propellant to bring you detailed streams packed with stats and insights. We expect your little kind support for us, and your encouragement would really inspire us and to keep up with our hard work to meet your expectations. Now let's move on and take a look at the booster supporting today's USSF-36 mission. The booster with tail number 1092 supporting today's mission. A young booster, you can say, with only 5 previous flights in its record, including 3 non-Starlink missions, namely NROL 69 for National Reconnaissance Office, 1 commercial resupply services mission to the International Space Station, that is the CRS-32. Now we are just waiting for the next one, that is CRS-33, that is targeting, I guess, August 24th as of now. And the last non-Starlink mission supported by today's booster was the GPS-37 mission. Additionally, the booster previously supported 2 Starlink missions so far, and now awaiting its 6th flight just minutes away. This also marks its 6th mission being supported this year. The last mission supported by today's booster was Starlink Group 10-34 on June 28th of 2025 this year, and the booster's turnaround time as of today is 55 days. Today's mission will be the second launch of this booster from Pad Launch Complex 39A and will have its third ground landing, with the first on landing zone 2, with previous 2 land landings on now retired landing zone 1 and 3 drone ship landings to date. So that's all about today's booster with tail number 1092 supporting today's USSF-36 mission for the OTV-8 X-37B spacecraft. Once again, before moving on, let me check if the launch is on time or not, and to keep ourselves informed. I'm a little bit skeptical about the liftoff time because the report previously published by 45th Weather Squadron. Anyways, they are currently sticking with their current liftoff time with 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Now let's move ahead and take a look at the bar graph showing number of Falcon 9 launches each year. Before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 100th Falcon 9 launch for this year with Starlink Group 17-5 mission, which launched back from Vandenberg on 18th of August 2025. SpaceX is now having 39 more than the launches made in year 2022 and 4 more number of launches made in 2023. With today's launch of USSF-36 OTV-8 mission, the bar graph shows 101 number of Falcon 9 launches for 2025. As of now, SpaceX is less than halfway to reach the number of launches made last year, that is in 2024. And with today's launch, SpaceX will be just 31 behind of 2024's total. SpaceX once again is targeting another record-breaking year with around 170 launches, surpassing last year's highest annual launch count of 134 launches in total, which includes 2 Falcon Heavy missions. Although an ambitious target, but hope they can pull it off. But just to remind you guys, SpaceX hit some major milestones this year with commercial GTO-1 launch. It marked the 500th successful Falcon 9 mission, while the June 12th Starlink launch from Vandenberg became the 500th overall successful mission for SpaceX. Then just a day later, on June 13th, the Cape Canaveral launch of Starlink, they completed the first generation of their direct-to-cell constellation. And recently, as just I mentioned, they hit the 100th Falcon 9 launch for this year. So we must say that this year is being a record-breaking year for SpaceX, having back-to-back achievements for SpaceX. Now I'll be skipping the pre-launch timeline since it's a typical Falcon 9 launch with absolutely no alteration or deviation. You can track the pre-launch timeline updating live on the upper left-hand side of your screen. However, there is one point I would like to mention just for a quick knowledge, and I guess you are already aware of that the strong back reclining process at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral differs from that at Vandenberg. Here at Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral, we recline the strong back about 1.5 degrees or 2, whereas at Vandenberg we recline the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9. So that's the only thing different in today's pre-launch schedule, as this is a East Coast flight. Now once again, just to remind you, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 for USSF-36 mission from NASA's Kennedy Space Center at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, 21st of August 2025, and at 3:50 hours UTC on Friday, 22nd of August 2025. Now let's go ahead and briefly step through the trajectory for today's USSF-36 mission. Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Launch Complex 39A from NASA's Kennedy Space Center with X-37B space plane on board for a northeast trajectory heading into a low Earth orbit indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line you see indicates where Falcon 9 first stage will land after stage separation, just a little later leaving Florida Space Coast. This is going to be a ground landing, meaning the booster will undergo a return to launch site operation. For today, it's landing zone 2. Currently, SpaceX's only active landing site at the East Coast. This will be the SpaceX's 13th landing for this year and 93rd in total. This also marks the 13th landing on landing zone 2 in total. Worth mentioning, previously with Crew 11 mission launch, landing zone 1 had its final landing before its retirement and currently being decommissioned. Now, some recovery specifics. The estimated fairing recovery is approximately 650 kilometers downrange, and stage 2 debris re-entry will be in the southern Pacific Ocean on its second orbit. Although today it's a return to launch site um, operation, and its landing zone 2 will be having the first stage landing, but here are some of the stats related to drone ship as of today on a screen right now. Meanwhile, while you check out the slide, let me just once again check the liftoff time. Yes, currently SpaceX is sticking with their liftoff time of 11:50 p.m. Eastern time. So we know as of now there are 3 in SpaceX's drone ship fleet, but we are waiting for the addition of a 4th drone ship as promised by SpaceX earlier. But currently the details are not at all available in public domain, so we can't say when that will be happening, but it can happen possibly late this year or early next year, but we can't say it for sure because the details are very much limited. Now, speaking of fairing recovery, SpaceX will utilize a recovery vessel to retrieve both the fairing halves from Atlantic waters. The 2 halves of the payload fairing will be recovered slightly farther, approximately 650 kilometers downrange from where the first stage lands on the landing zone 2 after they will smoothly splash down with the guidance of parachute. Now, currently on your screen, you can see how a fairing recovery operation looks like. The recovery vessel on your screen is Dirk performing the recovery recovery operations. But today's supporting recovery vessel is Bob here at the East Coast. Other recovery vessels Dirk and Go Cosmos here at the East Coast are awaiting for their next assignment. And Go Beyond at the West Coast is gearing up for its upcoming Starlink mission, that is the Group 17-6 launch from Vandenberg. Now we have a request again for you folks. Consider giving this stream a like as your way of boosting us past max cube, passing through the maximum dynamic stress of YouTube's algorithm. It really helps us to connect with more space enthusiasts like you, growing our community. And as we are burning our all-night propellant to bring you this stream packed with stats and insights, we expect your kind support for us by tapping the subscribe and the bell icon bell icon. And with that, you will never miss any upcoming stream like a perfectly timed launch window. Your support would really inspire us and to keep up with our hard work to meet your expectations. Now we are currently just 5 minutes away from the webcast to begin, so let's just quickly wrap up with the stats we have for you to share with. Today's launch marks the 529th SpaceX's overall launch and the 29th dedicated non-Starlink mission of the year. Today it's the 8th launch of the X-37B orbital test vehicle and the 3rd Falcon launch of the spacecraft. Well, please notice I mentioned the 3rd Falcon launch. Now I'm breaking down that why I said it's Falcon launch. SpaceX previously launched the OTV-5 on Falcon 9 Block 4 rocket and OTV-7, also known as USSF-52 mission, on Falcon Heavy, both being Falcon rockets. So today is the 3rd time it's getting launched on a Falcon rocket. Today launch is the 4th flight of this first X-37B B vehicle out of its 2 operational X-37B spacecraft. It's going to be 516th Falcon 9 launch to date, with booster with tail number 1092 supporting today's flight on its 6th flight, being in action after 55 days. By that I mean the booster's turnaround time as of today is 55 days. Today's mission marks the 101st Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 104th overall launch of 2025, including 3 Starship flights this year. This will be the 455th Falcon booster reflight to date. That is the launch of a booster that has flown at least once before. Now today's launch marks the 116th orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from pad Launch Complex 39A and the 210th overall orbital launch from this pad. Now coming to some reusability statistics, this flight marks the 439th reflight of a booster, Falcon 9 booster to date. This will be the second landing on landing zone 2 this year, which marks the 13th overall landing on landing zone 2 and 13th ground landing of this year. Sixth landing of this first stage booster with tail number 1092 supporting today's mission. With this mission's first stage landing, SpaceX rack ups their 93rd overall ground landing, marking 470th Falcon 9 landing so far, and the 489th SpaceX's overall landing to date. Now just a quick note, we are not counting the landing failure on just in the instructions drone ship during the Starlink Group 12-20 mission this year, as it was a partial success. So you might be noticing that there's a difference of 1 in Falcon 9 and overall landing stats compared to what that is listed on SpaceX's website. Now speaking of landing, take a look at the landing zone prior to today's mission. Currently landing zone 1 is retired and SpaceX is having 2 active landing zones, one at the east coast landing zone 2 and the another at the west coast, that is the landing zone 4. Once again, just to remind you, please note that this landing zone stats right now on your screen are prior to today's launch, so please don't get confused. Now lastly, let's take a look at the stats for SpaceX launches specifically for this year, including today's mission. With today's mission, SpaceX will be having its 104th launch of this year. Out of those, 72 were Starlink missions, 29 are non-Starlink missions for commercial and government organizations, including this one, and 3 Starship launches. 95 of these missions using a reuse booster, including this one as well. Now, SpaceX will be having their 66 launches from the East Coast with today's mission. Launch from Launch Complex 39A, that will be having 18 launches from the pad. Launch Complex 39A from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. On the West Coast, SpaceX is having 35 launches, that is from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base. As of now, 3 launches from Gulf Coast at Starbase in Texas and 2 Super Heavy booster catches with Starship's 7th and 8th test flights. On Flight 9, no Super Heavy booster catch was attempted, and also on the upcoming Flight 10, there will be no Super Heavy booster catch attempt. As of now, the booster 16 rolled out to the pad already. Now just the Ship 37 rollout is left with Starship stacking. And with that, we will be good to go for the upcoming Starship 10th test flight. Now moving on with the stats again for landing, they will be nailing it for the 99 time this year. Most of the landings are on drone ship with 86 landings. And for ground landings, they will be pulling off 13 times today, where landing zone 2 will be having its second landing for this year. So that's all about the stats, although we have more to share with you guys, but unfortunately I started a bit late as I was improvising. I won't be denying. Now it's time for the webcast to begin, so let's just quickly move on to the webcast, and please allow me a couple of seconds to set up the stream for you guys. Well, don't worry, you are not missing out anything as of now.
You're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 at Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center, awaiting liftoff at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome to our live launch coverage of Falcon 9's 101st launch of the year, the USSF-36 mission, delivering the Space Force's X-37B orbital test vehicle to space. My name is Tyler Langquist, and I'm a Starlink analyst here at SpaceX.
And I'm Jesse Anderson, a senior.
Upload has started.
I'm Jesse Anderson, a Senior Production Engineering Manager. Today's mission marks the third time the X-37B Orbital Test Vehicle, or OTV, will take flight on a SpaceX launch vehicle. The last SpaceX OTV mission, USSF-52, launched on a Falcon Heavy in December of 2023. The first flight of the X-37B on a Falcon 9 was the Orbital Test Vehicle 5 mission in September of 2017, which went on to spend 780 days in orbit, breaking the vehicle's own endurance record.
Once on orbit, the X-37B will perform demonstrations and experiments using next-generation technologies, including high-bandwidth inter-satellite laser communications and the world's highest-performing quantum inertial sensor ever used in space. This technology is useful for navigating environments where GPS is not accessible.
The X-37B program first launched in April of 2010 and has accrued 4,208 days in operation since then. Previous X-37B missions have tested a wide range of applications, including a demonstration of the spacecraft's ability to alter its orbital trajectory using a novel aerobraking maneuver.
The X-37B orbital test vehicle has also tested technology designed to harness solar energy and transmit power to the ground. It also conducted tests to better understand how to sustain humans on long-term crewed missions to the moon and beyond.
It is an incredibly capable autonomous spacecraft. For today's X-37B mission, weather is currently 10% POV, which is great. That's about 90% chance of great weather at T0. The range.
So that I was talking about previously, that the weather conditions improved there. Previously, 45th Weather Squadron gave a weather forecast of about 65% favorable launch weather conditions, but currently the weather improved and we are just having 10% probability of launch weather constraint violations. So that's a 90% go for today's launch. Now meanwhile, they are playing some of the copyrighted tracks on this video, so we are not allowed to play that tracks as we don't have those copyrights. So meanwhile, just let me give you some more stats for today's launch. Today's mission is the 165th launch since last mission failure, that is Starlink 9-3 mission. Prior to this launch, SpaceX had 164 successful launches, 74 successful landings since last landing failure with Starlink 12-20. Booster with tail number 1067 having highest number of flights, that is successful landings flights and landings, that is 29 times, with previous Starlink mission launch of Group 10-25. 373 missions with at least one reuse fairing, and approximately 740 number of fairing halves were reused prior to today's launch, with a single fairing half reused to reach a maximum of 32 times being reused. Now this launch will be the 188th orbital launch of this year. United States is leading with 118 launches with 62.8%, followed by China with 48 launches. Russia with 11 launches. They recently had two back-to-back launches, one Soyuz 2.1B and another is for Angara 1.2 rockets. Meanwhile, 2 launches by Japan and 3 by India. Europe is having 5 launches, and Australia had its recent first launch, which marked the first Australian-made Ares rocket on its test flight to launch from its own country soil. That really marked a major lift for Australian space program. Now, currently, Falcon 9 gearing up for its 101st launch this year, a major milestone coming up for them. Now, currently, we are T-minus 11 minutes and 20 seconds and counting. Now, just a reminder, as per United States Space Force request, we will not be getting any views of the payload or the second stage, and the webcast will be ending just after the first stage landing.
11 minutes, Falcon 9 is tracking no issues and our payload is healthy. The Falcon 9 team reported on console at T-minus 2 hours and 15 minutes and began their final checks of the launch vehicle and ground systems. Final checkout of the flight termination system was performed at T-minus 1 hour and 45 minutes.
The chief engineer conducted a technical readiness poll just before T-minus 1 hour. After that, the Falcon 9 team completed a data review of first and second stage propellant checkouts, as well as avionics and guidance, navigation, and control at the T-minus 1 hour mark. At the technical readiness poll, there were no issues, and the team completed the poll at T-minus 38 minutes to proceed with propellant load and launch. And we're expected to finish loading at T-minus 2 minutes.
Now we will be getting close to T-minus 7 minutes. And that's where we will be start chilling the 9 Merlin engines on the Falcon 9's first stage, where we open up with the pre-valves, which allows the propellant down to the engines to get them prepared for the ignition just before the liftoff. Now we are getting some closer views of the payload up there at the second stage. We are watching this live view of Falcon 9, a 2-stage orbital class rocket, and it stands 70 meters tall, making it just 3 meters short of Taj Mahal, one of the wonders in India. Now we will be having the strong back reclining process in approximately T-minus 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes away from liftoff. That's, you can say, 4 minutes away from now. Now, once again, just to remind you guys, here at Kennedy Space Center, we recline the strong back about 1.5 degrees away from the Falcon 9. It is also the same in case of Cape Canaveral flights, but that differs from Vandenberg flights, where we recline the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9. Currently, they are playing some videos for US Space Force. Once again, these videos are having copyrighted tracks, and we are not allowed to have them to play on our videos or our stream. So currently, I turned off the mission audio feed. Now, I would like to welcome Paul Neal for tuning in, although Paul Neal retracted the message. But thanks for tuning in, Paul, and I hope you will be enjoying the stream. And I guess all of you are more hyped for the upcoming Starship Flight 10. Now we are getting close to T-7 minutes. So there we will be start chilling the 9 Merlin engines at the very bottom of the Falcon 9's first stage as they prepare for the Falcon 9's liftoff. Currently we are loading liquid oxygen. It is a LOX load on both the stages is ongoing. Past the 70-7 minutes mark, so we are currently chilling the 9 Merlin engines. Let's listen into the mission audio feed.
X-37B orbital test vehicle to space. Liftoff is scheduled for 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Now, next up in the countdown, the transporter erector, or TE, will begin to retract away from Falcon 9. That's the large truss structure that you see standing next to the rocket.
In just a couple of seconds, like you can say 30 seconds from now, we will be getting the call of like tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract. And following that, the next event will be the retraction of the strong back away from the Falcon 9. So let's listen to the call out.
It's the same structure, just a different name. The TE rolls Falcon 9 out to the pad, races it vertical, and stays connected through the final seconds to launch. The TE provides fuel, power, telemetry, and command connections between ground systems and the vehicle.
So we're pressing for strong back retract.
And there we go, we got the call out. Tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract. That means we are currently adding a bit of gas to firm up the tanks so that the clamps right now you can see just beneath the payload fairing or the second stage, they can open up with a solid structure holding the Falcon 9. Once those clamp arms are open, we start reclining the strong back about 1.5 degrees or 2 away from the Falcon 9 since it's a East Coast flight. So let's closely monitor those clamp arms. Currently, we initiated the strong back reclining process. So soon those clamp arms will be coming to open up. And there we go. We can see those clamp arms moving out. Now the strong back will be reclining about 1.5 degrees. That won't be a much difference from what we are seeing right now, but you have to carefully notice. It's not a Vandenberg flight. It will be seeing a Michael Jackson kind of lean, as one of our moderators said previously. Now, this strong back reclining process is a slow process, and we have hydraulic actuators at the base of the strong back that will pull it away This is done slowly because you might be able to see those lines which are still carrying the liquid oxygen on the second stage, as well as the electrical signals and the air conditioning up the upload in the payload fairing. So we need to make sure that all of these are easily stretched out and all the mechanism works good, so that we can recline the strong back position without tugging any of those lines. Now currently stage 1 LOX load is complete. We will be listening in a couple of seconds for the stage 2 LOX load completion. So let's listen to the callouts that will be happening at just inside T-2 minutes mark. Once again, just a reminder, as per United States Space Force request, we won't be getting any second stage views or payload views, and the webcast will be ending just after the first stage lands successfully.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
And there it is.
And there we go. Stage 2 LOX load is complete. All propellants are now on board the Falcon 9 with complete 1 million pounds of propellant. We are now beginning to vent down the pressure that was remaining in the tubing of the strong back. That's why you can see those white clouds coming out there. This is absolutely normal and it's an indicator of launch coming up. And this cold gas, when it reacts with the moist humid air, gives us this cold gas. Now next up, T-1 minute, we should be hearing the Falcon 9 first stage is in startup. So let's listen to the caller.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
There's that.
There we go. Falcon 9 flight computers on both the stages are running the rocket through the last minute of count. Now let's listen to the go call out.
This is the mission director. Go for launch.
And there we go. SpaceX launch director giving go for the launch. We are coming up close to T-minus 30 seconds. All system continues to remain go for the launch of Falcon 9 and X-37B spacecraft on USSF-36 mission. And also weather is quite supporting for today's launch with 90% go as of now. So let's sit back and enjoy the liftoff of Falcon 9.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go USSF-36.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Empty chamber pressure is nominal.
With absolute stunning visuals and a thunder roar, we have a successful Falcon 9 liftoff. Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. We are getting T plus 38 seconds into the flight. Falcon 9 on its way with United States Space Force X-37B orbital test vehicle payload into low Earth orbit. Currently, power, telemetry, and propulsion is nominal. We are right now into a throttle bucket, throttling down the 9 Merlin engines, preparing for the period of maximum dynamic stress coming up. It's still unbelievable. Just close to the east coast, we are having a hurricane, and today's Falcon 9 will be just passing over the hurricane, and SpaceX is doing it to have a liftoff when you have a hurricane next door. Now we had max Q. We have throttled 9 Merlin engines back at full power. Next up, we will be chilling the 9 Merlin engines at the Falcon 9's. Excuse me, we will be chilling the second stage MVAC engine prior to its ignition. Next up, we will have 4 events in rapid succession. Main engine on first stage to cutoff, that is MECO, followed by stage separation and ignition of second stage MVAC engine for the first time, that is SES-1, which will boost the payload into low Earth orbit. Just after stage separation, the Falcon 9's first stage will undergo a flip maneuver using cold gas thrusters and perform a boost back burn back towards the launch site.
Separation confirmed.
So we just heard that call out for stage separation, and with
Stage 1 boost back startup.
all right. So with
These views are absolutely stunning. Really, every time we are having this landing zone attempts return to launch site, we are getting awesome views. So we heard the call out for stage separation. We didn't heard the call out for MECO, but that absolutely happened. Fairing separation also successful. We currently had MECO followed by stage separation with ignition of the MVAC ignition on the second stage. Currently, Falcon 9 first stage is having a boost back burn, and that will be lasting for 45 seconds. There we go. We have the stage 1 boost back shutdown. And hopefully it's a nighttime launch. We won't be getting much good views, but hopefully we will be able to see those hypersonic titanium grid fins to slowly begin deploying as we have a successful stage separation. Once again, just to remind you, we got a good healthy call out that we have a successful fairing separation. Although to be frank, as of now, that boost back burn was the liftoff, and the boost back burn views were spectacular. Next up, we will be having the views for the first stage to have its landing on landing zone 2. We won't be getting any views from the Falcon 9 second stage due to the classified nature of this launch. Now, once again, just to remind you, today's flight is a special one, as this USSF-36 mission marks the 8th launch of the X-37B spaceplane, and it is the first mission to be launched within 6 months of the previous one. Today's launch marks the 3rd Falcon 9 launch of spacecraft, 2nd on Falcon 9, and the 1st on SpaceX's Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket. Also, this is the 2nd consecutive launch for SpaceX, launching the Orbital test vehicle. Next up, we'll be having the next call out to have the stage 1 entry burn.
Graphic showing the engines on the first stage. So you can see when we do have that entry burn, we're going to light up those engines. You can see that on that graphic there.
now, Falcon 9 is the world's first orbital rocket capable of reflight, and reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more.
Currently, we are preparing for the first stage to make its return to landing zone 2. Falcon 9 first stage rose to its apogee before descending back to its landing site, that is landing zone 2 for today. We are not getting views from the Falcon 9 first stage as well. There we go. We have the first stage view there, as it's a night time, and very faintly you can see those titanium grid fins out there at the Falcon 9's first stage. Now we are just about 10 seconds or so from the stage 1 entry burn to startup. So let's listen to the call out there.
About 20 seconds or so away from that entry burn beginning on the first stage. Again, this is going to be the second of 2 burns. And there you can see on your screen, the entry burn has begun.
And there we go. We got the visual confirmation of stage 1 entry burn. And you can see we are rapidly slowing down the vehicle, as you can see the bottom left hand side of your screen from the telemetry. We just lit 3 of the 9 Merlin engines on the first stage to do so, and that stage 1 entry burn lasted just around 25 seconds. Next up, we will have the stage 1 landing burn. That is the final burn for the Falcon 9's first stage. It initially had the boost back burn, entry burn, now coming up to the landing burn. Soon, in a couple of seconds, we will have that landing burn. There we go. Great views of that landing burn with center E9 engine now lit. We are slowing down the vehicle furthermore very rapidly, should be seeing those landing legs deploy any seconds now. Awesome tracking views of the Falcon 9's first stage. Stage 1 landing legs deployed, and let's listen to the call out. Well, they are not providing any call out today.
And that was the
I guess it was a successful landing, although we didn't saw any off nominal views for the Falcon 9's first stage. So we had a successful 470th landing of Orbital class Falcon 9 rocket. Coming up next, we'll have the second stage engine cutoff, that is SECO 1. Specific deployment for the payload is undisclosed due to the classified nature of the mission. Now, once again, just to remind you, today's launch marks SpaceX's 529th successful mission, with landing marking their 489th success. So with that, we will wrap up our coverage for now. But before that, want to thank you for tuning in to our launch live coverage. Be sure to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in space industry and updates on upcoming launches. We hope you enjoyed the stream and we could add value to your viewing experience. We anticipate everyone, we appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch. Wishing you a nice weekend ahead. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipto, sign off for now, and we will see you soon.